What's up guys, if you've jumped here from the drive shaft removal video, welcome back. We're about to get into changing out the split CV boot on the drive shaft. If you've jumped straight to this video, I've already removed the drive shaft from the pickup here. So if you want to see that process, I'll put a link to that video above my head right now and you can click that if needs be. Right, let's get on with the job at hand and replace the boot on this drive shaft. So first up, you want to clamp this thing firmly in a vise by the narrow shaft in the middle. I've got the outer end pointing upwards with the split boot. So first job, get this old boot off. It's held on by two bands. In fact, it's only held on by one band in my case because one of these has popped off at some point. So grab a pair of side cutters and cut these bands off. There we go. With the bands off, you can cut the old boot off with a Stanley knife. Now, I will warn you, from here on out, things are gonna get greasy. All right, so I recommend plenty of rags, degreaser, brake clean if you've got it. No, I lied, it hasn't popped off. It's just hidden under lots of crap. There it is. Yes, I still haven't found my Stanley knife, alright. One half. So with the boot off, we've exposed the outer joint. Now these are held to the shaft much in the same way that the drive shaft is held inside the differential with one of those little C-clip things. So to get it off, it needs a sharp knock with a hammer, a brass one preferably if you've got it, so you don't damage the joint. I don't have a brass hammer, I'm just gonna have to go at it with the ball peen hammer. So you want to strike them right about there, as close to the shaft as you can. So grab the joint and pull it away from you as hard as you can with one hand, and then with the other hand, grab your hammer and strike it. And with a few blows, it should come off. There we go. So that's the outer joint off, pretty mucky as you can see. So I'm going to give everything a good clean with some degreaser, get all this old grease out, and then we can look to reinstalling it. So there we go, everything's cleaned up and this outer joint is ready to be reinstalled on the shaft. But before I do that, I need to fill this joint with fresh grease, which came with the boot kit that I bought. So what I like to do, cut the corner off this sachet, bung it in the middle, and then squeeze it all in there. Now interestingly, there's a different type of grease for each joint, the outer and the inner, so if you're replacing both boots, make sure you get the correct grease in the correct joint. Check that out. Okay, it's new boot time, and I know what you guys are thinking. Why am I not replacing both boots while I'm in there? Well, good point, but here's why I'm not doing it. Okay, this boot, the outer boot from the local parts store, was £13, no problem. The inner boot was a lot more difficult to find, and the cheapest I found was £35-ish. So we're talking just shy of £50 to replace both of the boots. Well, I could get a new drive shaft for about that. But I don't want a new drive shaft. I have a problem with this throwaway culture that we live in, and I didn't want to chuck away a perfectly good drive shaft for the sake of one split boot. So there's why I'm not doing it. It's not financially viable for me to replace both of these. Feel free to mock me if in 2 months' time the inner one splits and I have to do this all over again. I'll take it. In fact, while we're on the subject, if you've got a drive shaft that's knackered and it's clicking all the time or knocking when you're reversing, you know, things like that, then a new boot and fresh grease is not going to solve that problem. Just get a new drive shaft or a good second-hand one if you can and bung that in there instead. Okay, the joint is filled with fresh grease and ready to be reinstalled on the shaft, but before you do it, don't forget to put the new boot on. Don't laugh, I've seen it happen. New boot. Slide that on there. I'm going to slide it to the bottom for now so it's out of the way while we install this joint. Okay, before you put the joint on, this little C-clip here, just put the open ends upwards, so if you have any problems getting the joint on, you can reach in there with a flathead screwdriver or something and just push it in so you can get the joint on. I'm hoping we don't have to do that, but if we do, at least it's in the right place. So grab the joint and place it on the end of the shaft so it engages with the splines. Like that. Now at this point it just needs a little massaging to get it on further, so grab a hammer, brass one again if you've got it. I don't have a brass hammer, so I'm just going to hit it with the regular hammer. Okay, now give it a good push to seat it. There we go, give it a pull, make sure it's in. That feels pretty good to me. Look at that. Lovely jubbly. So now slide the boot into place. So this is where things could differ depending on your vehicle, as there's a variety of these different boot bands available to you, so you might need to do a little bit of research. With this type, you basically wrap the band around the boot and then push it as tightly around the boot as you can. And those little teeth will engage with the notches in the band, like that. Now at this point, this little tab here needs to be pinched together. Now, you can get a special tool for this. I don't have said special tool, but I do have a set of tile nippers, which I think will do the job. Let's see. So grab the tab between the jaws and squeeze. There we go, cool. Whatever weird squashery happens there tightens this thing down for good, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Brilliant. So all I've got to do now is repeat the process on this inner band, and then job done. Fantabulous. Great, now you should have a drive shaft ready to be reinstalled back in your car. If you want to join me for that process, click this link right here to take you to the final part of this little mini series. If you don't, thanks for watching.